Hello, people. Hello, I'm back. This week I have my first J.K. Rowling book. What is it called? The Casual Vacancy. I'm gonna start with the talking about the print up itself. This is a has that sort of a matte feel. Feels really cool. I don't particularly like these sort of loose leaf situations. Hey, there's our author right there. Look at it. But it's solid, well built, great printing. I used to think that didn't matter till one of these fell apart on me, and then it does matter, like the orange. In any case, my first J.K. Rowling book. I know there's a wee bit of a story to that. When J.K. Rowling first made Harry Potter, someone somewhere, I don't remember who, had the misfortune of saying that Harry Potter is better than Lord of the Rings. And obviously, me being the reasonable person that I am, in in a show of fierce personal loyalty that helped no one and affected nothing, I deemed that I would not read Harry Potter because it's a shame against literature to even mention it in the same breath as Lord of the Rings. I took it a little overboard, I will admit, but I still haven't read Harry Potter. Don't know if I'm gonna. It's neither here nor there. Well, it's sort of here because J.K. Rowling at some point said, I'm going to make books that aren't Harry Potter. And I've been interested in trying one. And so I got this bad boy. Um, Bit of a different take on this one. A, let's just say to start, 100%, this is a great book. This is a wonderful book. J.K. Rowling is a supremely gifted writer. Supremely gifted. I would highly suggest this in a way. I'm gonna get to it to anyone. It's 5 out of 5. I think if you love to read, you will like even just sort of the structure of what's happening here, what she's able to get done. If you don't like to read, I think this will get and hold your interest, right? Normies, these normie friends of ours who don't read, they can get through this book. They will enjoy it after you hear my certain caveats. I'm going to go sort of with the negative first because I think it needs to be said. This is a heavy book, right? There are, I guess, let's say, trigger moments that might happen in here of a sexual assault nature, right? So if for you that's an issue, right? You want nothing to do in any way in your mind with that. Then I think you have to skip this book because she's too good of a writer, and you get pulled in such a way that it's impactful. It is very much impactful. I suppose you could read, like you read a lot of Sherlock Holmes, right? Or you read other murder, death, kill books, murder mysteries, if you will. And the deaths or the crime, let's say the crime, becomes secondary in a weird way. It's about how the person's going to capture them. We don't have that here. So you carry a lot of the impact of what's happened, and it is serious. It's as serious as it gets, right? So, in that sense, if you know your friend who doesn't read, it goes from a 5 to a 0 star if that's an issue for them. 100%. Specifically that issue. And it's because it's so particular an issue that I don't think I could recommend it to anyone, reader or not, who has qualms about that, right? Like even in a war book, if I've read a war book, it's less it has an impact. You are aware of what's happening. You carry that with you, but it doesn't have the impact as a personal story would, right? So there's that warning, and I would say that's if that's a negative, and you have to avoid this book, then it's unfortunate, but you have to do what's best for you, obviously. And I suppose hearing that warning, I might have considered not reading the book, but having read it, I guess I'd say I'd reread it, right? It's a heavy issue. But then it brings me to the point of this book, the essence, right? And why I say she's such a wonderful writer and why I rated it so high, apart from this issue per person, right? I can't, I wouldn't remove a story because it has this issue, because that issue affects deeply individuals, when the whole, it wouldn't affect like it would the individual, right? Like if your dog just died, you don't want a story about a dog dying versus my dog's not dead, so I won't have be affected, right? A rough analogy, but I think y'all know what I mean. So excluding those people, just to move us along here, the reason why that became such an issue and that I started with the negative is the quality of this writing. What we have here is a small town in England somewhere. Pagford? I believe it's Pagford. Now, nothing of importance happens here. This isn't where Oppenheimer was born. Aliens don't land. The president didn't come through. There's not a criminal hiding. There's no grand arcing conspiracy. Nothing of this effect. Nothing whatsoever. And for me, I think it's maybe the hardest thing for a writer to have to do. To tell me the story where, let's say, no story exists. My life, readers' lives particularly, let's say, aren't exciting. I'm not running with the bulls. I'm not jumping out of planes. I'm not swimming with sharks. I'm like Bilbo Baggins. I'd rather not have an adventure. I'd rather sit home. Thank you very much. Good day, sir. Right? I ain't trying to make it happen that way. It is what it is. That's why I like to read books. So to be able to take normalcy, absolute normalcy, pull me into that story, and I would say give me stress like a murder, like a spy thriller, more in a lot of ways, more stress than a spy thriller would give, without any stakes whatsoever. That's the incredibleness that's happening here. And I guess you could say that's a mark against it in a weird way, right? We read books to escape in a weird way. But this is real life, right? This is, what do we say, slice of life here. So everything that can happen in it probably has happened somewhere, and it's not making the news, and no one's ever going to know, but some people are going to know because it's a small town situation, right? That's what this book is. And I really was. All right, you see, as long as it is, it went quick. I'm a slow reader. It went quick. Did it end perfectly? I'd say yes. The perfect ending, which was kind of not a real ending. It just sort of tail ended. If she wrote 3 more, equal size, about the same town, I'd probably get them. Even though nothing happened in the first story. Like I said, nothing of note. This isn't, JFK's not going to die here. I don't even get a real sense of what year it is. I know the internet's new. It's not quite. I would say it's new from the way they talk about it. But even that, it could have been yesterday. The year doesn't even matter in a lot of ways. You get so invested in the people because of her writing. It starts it starts with the man Barry dying, and she gives it to you pretty quick. And she'll go quick like this, right? Like, so his wife's talking. She'll say something. Come on, Barry, we're going to be late. And then maybe two paragraphs or three of just inner monologue of things she's thinking about the situation. She's tired of him working so much. I'm trying to get to this anniversary. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to that. And then him going, I'm almost done. And then more of him, right? From her right to him. Inner thoughts different. You can see, like, if you could see their thoughts of two people in a relationship, where they cross, where they should communicate better. The whole works. The whole inner works. Sorry. Where was I? Barry dies. Dies right in the parking lot. Now, I didn't notice it at first, but as I've been thinking about this book, I mean, it comes at me. In other books, if somebody dies this early in a book of almost any kind, my initial thought automatically, a lot of times, is to think something suspicious about it. Why'd he die? What's going on? Is this some kind of plot? Am I going to get a murder mystery? What am I going to happen? What's going to happen? I know it's a book. I know there's meat on the bone. It's got to mean something. I can tell you, like, the moment he dies, I never for 1 second think a murder mystery is about to happen. Not for a second. And it's something in the way she's layering these dialogue with inner dialogue so quickly on top of each other. And I'm like, new people come in and we're getting right into their head. We'll get into their head, and within inner monologue, she'll put in like brackets, parentheses, inner memory, so to speak, right? So, I don't like tomatoes. And so I'll be thinking, man, I hope they don't offer me a tomato. I'm gonna be offended at this tomato. And then in my mind, I'll remember why I don't like tomatoes. She writes that in. It'll be a whole paragraph or two or three. Then we cut right back to the present thoughts, because you carry memory on top of your thoughts, right? They affect what you're thinking. Why I would think it's this. Why I would think it's that. I'll fill that in for you when it needs to be filled in. She won't ahead of time. We don't get deep descriptions of people until later, and then in varying ways and to varying degrees and for varying purposes, just so we can get more into their mindset, right? So, this man dies, we start this chain of events, and I'm instantly drawn in on what they're thinking and why. And it's natural. It's very natural, right? Like, a younger couple may think, like the lady. Okay, it's Mary Fairbender, Barry's wife. She's just losing her mind. Her husband just died. So two friends come out of the restaurant they were going to eat at. They know them, but not as well as like you would like, right? We're not the best of friends, but I know you socially too well to just go, I can't get in the ambulance with you. So they go with her to the hospital. It's already a disruption of your day, right? Your evening is different than it would have been in a very dramatic way. And so they have to stay till very late, till more closer friends of hers and his show up, and then they see themselves out of the situation. They've done what's socially right. And it's not, you don't judge them as to what I would do, right? Because of the way it's written, you understand that they're doing what they think they should be doing, what's right right? That you see them for the people that they are. So the wife gets home and the other wife now, of the other couple that went with Mary. And you hear her thoughts, and for a bit, she's just scared that her husband's dead. For some reason, for no reason. Death's around, and she just thinks it's her husband's dead, and then she hears him breathe, and she feels better. And then we move on. And then it turns into feeding a gossip machine, right? And not, again, all of it, all the particulars of what I'm saying don't sound interesting. You might even judge these people poorly. Who cares about a gossiping old lady? Who cares about a guy running a shop who's a bit skeevy? I don't care about these. Aren't good people. I don't like these. But when you hear every inner thought they have, you have an attachment to them, right? It's this book is almost like a what is it? The Real Housewives of Orange County, the Real Housewives shows, if they weren't all douchebags, or some like a Pride and Prejudice. You get this deep social interactions just magically told to you in these quick ways. And I got sucked into it. I got sucked in so that when and it sounds again like these housewives shows. The mom of the couple that went with the lady whose husband died, her husband's on the council, runs a cafe. She was looking forward to telling this news to her husband. How will he react? Somebody's died. And then you're like, but just as you're about to think that's kind of sadistic, you get this hint that her husband and this guy had been at each other over some issue on the council. And I'm like, again, this is how life comes at you. You'll have instances, I can see that as being realistic. You watch a football game, you don't want Tom Brady to blow his leg out. But if he fell and twisted an ankle and couldn't play the rest of the game and your beloved team could finally win, maybe you'd be okay with this, right? Did you wish harm on a human? Yes, in a weird way. But not for real. Like if I had the magic wand, I'm not zapping him and busting his leg. But if it happens, I'm not going to be too mad. Right? It's this kind of thing. But in these people's lives, they don't want Barry dead. They were happy to fight him because of the issue on the politics side that they had. But he did die. There's nothing they can do to bring him back. So the new reality is beneficial for them. And then how can they not be happy about that? Right? And then later, when other negatives come back on them, they think, was it because I was so happy about these negative thoughts? I shouldn't have. What is it? Like, I shouldn't have laughed at the kid falling. Now I doinked my head. This pain is like my karma. We human beings think in these terms. And J.K. Rowling doesn't lose the thread from beginning to end. She has sort of a Cockney girl? Is that what they call them? These sort of ruffian British types? She has teenagers. She has middle-aged people. She has old people. Abused people. All intermixing on this particular issue. You never lose track of their voice. The inner monologue of the old lady sounds like her inner monologue. The inner monologue of the fat council member sounds like his inner monologue. He is thinking in these political terms. He's happy about the town he lives in. Is he okay looking at a lady's butt? Yes. Is he skeevy? No. Because he wouldn't. He's not attacking people. He's not this. He's that. You know what I mean? You start to get this deep sense of all of these characters. So much so that when, like, let's say, Barry dies, and then events start stacking. And they do stack, and it stacks wonderfully. One guy has high anxiety, but he is friends with Barry. Everyone seems to like Barry. He was friends with Barry, so he wants to finish the work Barry started. But he has high anxiety. So he's like, I'm going to run for the seat, and then before he can take it back, he's just worry-warding about all this situation, right? Well, a kid, a kid who's friends with that guy, there's a small town, everyone knows everyone, hacks the Facebook of the council. A tiny little 44 views Facebook or something like this. Tiny. He hacks it and posts something scandalous about his dad to get his dad out of the race. And it just sends ripples through these people's lives. And the ripples continue. You know? And again, I don't normally, I tell you. Oh no, hold on. That was my point. He posts this thing, and you're nervous for him and his situation. He has an abusive father. So you're nervous for him in the sense that he will get hit. I don't want this kid hit. This is terrible. That chapter ends. You're immediately taken to the old lady's house, whose husband's also on the council. And your heart starts like beating, right? You're clutching your pearls, so to speak, about how she's going to react when she reads this news. Almost the same as any kind of, like I said, of a thriller novel. The intensity of these people, the effect it has on you, with them just checking their Facebook page and seeing this kind of a message, it's unreal. Like I said, I would buy 3 more of these books following these people. Doesn't matter what happens. Nothing here is going to be interesting. She even says it in a few spots. One of the characters thinks it. She's like, this stupid little town doesn't matter. Nothing in this town matters. They'll even say it. And yet I care. I care about every single character. In a weird kind of a way. She'll present one that seems to be bad. And then on their backstory, you're a little, I'm a little conflicted because that's a rough upbringing. But then you can't excuse an adult's behavior. And so you're in this loop on that character. And then she leaves them and you're talking to these people. And you completely understand them. You know? Just a small town in England somewhere. I don't even know if it's a real town. It read so real, though. It read like it happened. It really did. And I almost wish she could, because of her talent, I wish she'd write some kind of actual history. And just fill in the gaps like it's this book. You know? So magical. Little things. A school fight. A school fight between 2 girls has effects 10, 12 years later. Because it's a small town and I haven't forgotten. A council seat. A stressed mother. You know, these little things. Little things, and you just see the behind the curtains on these people's minds. And you just swept along with them. And next thing you know, you're as concerned about they are as the next post. As someone wearing something inappropriate at a party. All these little things. All the little minutia of a small town. That doesn't matter in any hill of beans. And you're just like, oh my God. Oh, you might have ruined it. Oh, this. Oh, that. And they just keep stacking on you. And it does the book no justice for me to say such and such had a heart attack. Because to you, it's the same as who I don't know, some dude in Nebraska having a heart attack right now. I don't know this person. But you give me their whole life. You give it to me this way. And all of a sudden, I know. And him having a heart attack means something. And I'll remember it this time next year. Would I reread the book? Absolutely. It's supremely written. Supremely written. And again, I'd want to tell y'all every little bit. But I would sound like those sort of, if you have any friends who watch those Real Housewives shows and you try and get them to explain something, it takes a half a second. Because I'm like, who? What's this lady? Why'd she do that? Oh, because she's a d-bag. She's been a d-bag since her husband left her and blah blah. I'm like, oh my god, there's a lot happening here. It's just like this. I will say one note, and I got the same sense when I read Pride and Prejudice, and I feel like this may be sort of a male versus female situation. There are certain rungs in a story men tend to grab a hold of when maneuvering through what they want to tell. And women can skip those rungs sometimes. And J.K. Rowling does. So at first, you might have trouble as a guy, I did, visualizing the people in a certain kind of a way. But you have to take it, you have to sort of let it wash over you. Don't fight the writing. Just let it happen. And it won't be 2-3 pages in before you sense the people, if that makes sense. You have a sense of who this person is. And the visual, in a weird way, comes later. That's what I got out of it. Okay, I think this is going to be a short video. Let me see, how long is that? It's very short. It's very short, but it is what it is. I can't. If you read it, if you read it, and I do suggest, again, unless you have that sort of a trigger issue within you on sexual assault, you can 100% read this. And don't take that. I don't think it's gratuitous. It's not overblown. It is impactful. It'd be like a movie where someone's shot versus, the movies where they show a bunch of blood. Let's say there's no blood, but you feel the impact of that shot. I think that's the best way I can say it. It is highly impactful. So if you have sort of the trigger issue, I would skip it. But if you don't, I would recommend reading this book, just on the writing alone. It's wonderful. And if your friend wants a good, solid book to read, and they don't have those issues, you can recommend them this book. And again, it's I don't need to know history. I don't need to know any kind of anything. It's completely self-contained. I don't even know if this town's real. But I almost feel like I could walk through town if it were. Right? Like I could maneuver myself around town. If I saw these people, I could talk to them. It's really kind of crazy. But like I said, it does no good for me to do like I normally do and give you beat by beat what's happened, because it doesn't matter. It won't matter to you. But if you read it, you'll know what I'm talking about, and it will matter. All right. I'm going to do, I guess because it's a short video, I'll do quick ads. All right. Short video, quick ads, highly recommendable book. That's about the high and low of it. That really is the best way to tell someone about this book, though. I can't. It does no good for me to say, so and so got a job at this bakery. Who cares? But if you read the book, and it's every way she wrote it, which means I absolutely care. All right, people. Short and sweet. If too short's a problem, tell me, and maybe I'll do a twofer one on Short Week. But this is a good, solid book. You will enjoy yourself. All right. Talk to you next week.